Hello Fly Nation and welcome to the Freestyle Your Life podcast, the one and only podcast inspiring you to live your authentic greatness while teaching you that less is more. I'm your host, Zimmermann, and I'm on my mission to help you to be the hero you were meant to be and to live what you came for in life and in business. Remember, the quest we came here for is to discover our true nature, explore our potential and share it by living. Today I'm thrilled to have my colleague and friend Carl Contino on episode 4. We're gonna talk about how to create a world of love, passion and connection by observing our state of mind. He's a brain expert and specialized on the slippery mind. He's the founder of Untapped Genius and developing new coaching modalities. I'm happy to learn more about it. Let's jump right into it.
Yes. I'm very excited. I'm honored and thrilled to
Me too.
have a conversation.
Have you?
Oh, it's just fantastic.
Carl and Carla, how perfect is that, right?
Yeah.
And we are almost the same in behaving and thinking. I'm always fascinated whenever
that's really.
I notice Carl is online and I have time to just hop on and I hear you talking. I say, I could have that. Yeah, we're ticking so similar. It's crazy.
Oh, it's wonderful. Now, quick note though. So you go by Carla or?
I have two pre-names, right? Like Ernesto and Carla. Mostly overseas or in traveling, I use Carla because it's easier for the people to
and it'll be easy for me because it's
whatever you prefer. Carl is perfect for me. We're a great couple with Carla and Carl. So
very good. We're going with that.
Whatever you wanna use. So I just saw you were on Facebook Live just before.
Yes.
Just hopped on and saw, because I put something like I always get a notice when Carl is doing Facebook Live. So
you do see those.
Nice. I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Because I don't know, Facebook's algorithm is a little frustrating sometimes because, it doesn't show it to a very large audience, so I never know who's watching and, I just put it out there every day. Yeah. And I got started let me ask, hold on. Alexa, how many days since May 16, 2017?
619 days.
So I've done 619 Facebook Lives in 619 days.
Yeah, and you told me about that, about what you're going to do, and I said, "Oh, that's a crazy thing he wants to do." And you did so many Facebook Lives in a row. I don't know if somebody else can do that, but it's so great. I really, my greatest respect for you doing this.
Thank you, and it's my daily practice.
You make a commitment, and you're just going for it, right? Every single day.
Yeah. And I turn it into a game. That's the whole key for me because that discipline thing, I'm not very good at that.
I know, we share that, right?
Oh yeah.
But we have to do something really. We should in fact turn it in a game because it's the only way we're gonna do it.
It's so true. And it puts me in the best place possible. I can give myself permission to not follow through, to have setbacks, disappointment. It's all part of it. I get to decide what is part of the game, and that is it. Right. That's what gives me the space and freedom to be able to even consider being on camera. I used to be the shyest guy you've ever met in your entire life. Oh.
I know. I have so much respect for you doing this.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's really my greatest honor for this.
Thank you.
Incredible. So many Facebook Lives in a row. I can never catch up with this.
And I'll tell you, there's something about doing something every day that makes it paradoxically easy, effortless. It's not even because it's a habit. No, it's the game. Part of the game was setting something up small.
Yeah.
And doing it every day for just a little bit.
Right.
This live thing started with Allison Crow. She put on a 10-day challenge for us, and I have been hemming and hawing for like 9 months trying to get myself on camera, but I conveniently had technical problems. I couldn't get my green screen to operate and this and that and the other thing, so it kept me safe, right? And so when this challenge came up, it was like, okay, for 10 days, 2 minutes a day, and now a bunch of us are doing it. That gave me permission, and at the end of to go for it, right? And at the end of the 10 days, it's like, so Carl, you want to do another 10 days? It's like, sure, why not? You know, and it's the same thing with my, I don't know if you've heard of me speak of my daily celebration of movement.
Yeah, but tell the listeners, they might not know it.
Right. So are we being recorded right now?
Hang on.
Yeah, I thought we were just chatting. I mean, it's all good. It's just a conversation.
Yeah, it's recording.
It is recording. Okay, so
I have my team member Martin by my side today because I'm not very technical.
Oh, that's smart though.
Thing. So I have him by my side there to watch out for the technical.
All right, so you let me know when we officially start. Did you do your sound check and all that already?
Yeah, it's pretty. Everything is pretty.
Okay, and then this is going to be edited at the end, so it chops out some of.
Yeah. I have the intro and your bio separately recorded, and so we're just already into it. So,
I didn't even know it. I love it.
We both of us are so authentic, Carl. It couldn't be better if we said, come on, we set the time and now we're gonna begin.
Right. I was just about to say that, what a fantastic way to start an interview where you start, but you don't even realize it. Isn't it great? Because you know what that is? That's probably, I can speak for myself personally and some of the clients I work with that, one of the tricky things about, going for what we want and creating the experiences and the things that we want in life is that there's a paradox to me in this where sometimes the more I want something, the bigger I make it and the bigger the resistance is and also the bigger the perception that I have to overcome or whatever, that I have to build or create this huge, massive thing. And it's like, no, like today, if you said, okay, now at 12 o'clock sharp, we're going to start, right? That instantly makes it a bigger thing in my mind versus we just slipped right into it. Yeah. I mean, that is how I want to approach the things of my life, especially the biggest, most juiciest, wonderful things. I want to make them so tiny and friendly, safe, because I know that my mind will play with me. And then we get on a roll, we get momentum going, and then it takes on a life of its own. And pretty soon you got something happening, but you slid into it instead of on your mark, get set, go, that kind of thing.
But we both of us, we go totally for the authentic way, right? So I don't force myself for nothing else anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm authentic and I want to be like that. And if something is not authentic for me, if it's not okay for me, I just tell it up front, right? So I don't put myself into all these, most of these challenges no more. I just say no and set boundaries. But I had to learn it the hard way. So it was not easy, but I learned my lessons. And you too, I know that because we know
learning. Learning.
We learned our lesson, Carl.
The only little difference on that, I'll say learning. I'm forever the student. I forget what I know all the time.
Yeah.
And that's part of my thing when it comes to, you hear me talk a lot about the mind and the slippery mind, I like to call it. And it's hocus pocus.
It is.
Fooling us into believing that, no, I could never do that, or I'm not capable of it, or that's impossible, or, oh gosh, those what if questions.
Complete illusion.
But yet, now here's the tricky thing about this. I've dedicated my life to exploring and understanding the nature of the mind, the slippery mind specifically, right? And I, quote unquote, know a lot of stuff because I'm always thinking about it and playing with it and talking about it. However, I put quotes under that. No. Yes, I know. I have intellectual information. I've come up with certain distinctions to be able to play with the mind in a nimble, freestyle kind of way without trying to manage it and control it because, no. However,
forget it.
I do know that part of the game is that I will forget what I know, even just for a little bit. Because, I often speak of the state of mind, my overall attitude, mood, whatever you want to call it. I like calling it state of mind.
Right.
And there are many ways of kind of feeling in my body, noticing my senses, noticing the quality of my thoughts, my energy level. All these things are impacted and show signs of where my state of mind is. And, I've got an engineering background, and I bring in my what I learned about radio waves, and I think of things on stations, like radio stations. Now, I think most of us have been taught that when there's a problem, you go to destroy, you battle, wage war, all these metaphors that are kind of in our language. And it's like, well, okay, you can do that, or with the perspective that things are on their channels, we're tuning into certain parts of reality. Instead, I can learn to shift and change the channel so that I'm tuned into different qualities of thoughts. Because I realize, those thoughts that I have all the time or frequently, or they're very familiar, they're very old, familiar things, right? When I'm in a particular, if I'm really afraid, right? Or if I'm really angry or really sad or something, I'm going to tune into that channel. And I know it. Because as soon as I hear certain phrases that go around my head, I've heard it a million times. It's like that tells.
You observe it, right?
It's right. I observe it, and I can say, that indicates that I'm tuned into the crap channel. I like to call it the crap channel. And
we don't like the crap channel.
No, we don't. But there's a lot to say about that. But just for the time being, when I'm tuned to that channel, I forget what I know, even though I think about it and talk about it and play with it all the time. So that is part of the game. And when I recognize that, then it just becomes a question of, learn how to entice my state to tune into a higher, clear place. Right. And then wherever my state is, that's the channel I tune into of life as well as my thoughts. And all of a sudden, I remember everything. As soon as I get my state in a clear place, and I do a bunch of things on a daily basis to kind of entice that, right? And as soon as I do, I know, because things happen instantly every single time. When I get into a clear state, here in Buffalo, New York, right now this time of year, it's gray, dreary. It's either snowing or raining. It's just cloudy day every day. And that's what I'm present to initially. And it puts me into my cave. It's just ugly out there, right? So I know that means I'm tuned into the ugly channel, my story about rain, about Buffalo weather, because we have a story about how depressing it is here this time, right? Okay. Yeah. So yes, I recognize that my mind is going to give me that stuff because I was born and raised here, right? And I've got those stories myself. However,
we took all that on us, right?
Yes.
Like here, it's over 9 p.m. In the evening. We are 9 hours ahead, and it's fucking cold. And it was snowing yesterday. It's freezing, and it's terrible. Yeah. It is. It just is.
It just is. So and when I can recognize
I learned to be with it. The weather, I cannot change it. It will be like it is.
Right.
If I'm in resistance, I damage myself. I don't do myself nothing good, right?
Yeah.
So you call it forget about the thoughts, and I called it freestyle your life. Free yourself from all of that shit.
Yeah.
And freestyle life.
I love
How
it.
you want it. It's the same thing, just the other words.
Yes, and I love that word, freestyle.
It's my own. Normally it's known from sports.
Right.
special sort of skiing or whatever, right?
It's my favorite kind too.
But I
Right.
love this because in this area we're talking here is completely unknown freestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? It goes along with the notion that I love the notion that I am the artist of my life.
Right.
My life is my canvas,
Right.
and the paints and brushes that I get to use are not just on painting a life that I love based on my desires and passions and stuff, but you got to have contrast to those things too, right? The darks, the shadows, and all that.
We can't see the light if there is no shadow, if there's no darkness.
Correct. Contrast. Right? It is built in. Yep.
Yeah. It's a lot opposite. It's not
so now
to have one without the other. It's just not
so now,
it's universal law. It's not possible.
It's so interesting because it becomes a question of now, what can I do with that contrast? The problems, the challenges and crises of my life. What can I do with it? Is it a question of just solving the problem? Well, sometimes, right? But I like doing what nature does.
Embracing it.
It transforms it
into
what I like to call fuel for new growth.
Right.
New for humans, it's new insights, new sense of purpose. Like when I got in my ski accident, that gave me
I remember that clearly.
Yeah. I fell from 25 feet, sheet of ice. I broke my shoulder, 8 ribs, and broke my hip in 9 different places. I was in a wheelchair for 4 months. And then when I got out, it turns out that my hip and other physical things, they're just not healing, right? So it gave me this huge challenge. And talking about turning something into a game, I started feeling like a victim. No matter what I did, I'm just feeling all this pain. What can I do? The surgery doesn't look like a good option. I was like, All right, and I started feeling a victim to my circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was reminded of a very powerful tool, reframing, so that I can change my perception of it and therefore respond differently. And so while I was in the hospital for the month, I wrote out 30 different reframes. And it's all in answer to 3 basic questions I ask. I say, all right, here's the situation. Question 1. And this is only after I've gone through any upset or any emotional response, because I want to allow that I'm a human being. Mm-hmm. They observe, allow, let myself be where it is, no matter how yucky and scary. Because when I was flat on my back, I was thinking, oh my gosh, am I paralyzed? What's going on here? You know, I had no idea. And so at some point, if I can be in the yes of that fear, of the actual accident, the confusion, all that stuff. Because when I got into the yes of it, and I calmed down just a little bit while I was waiting for the helicopter to fly me to the hospital, I remembered. Remember, we were saying earlier, I remember things when I get into a certain state. And all of a sudden I remembered, reframe. Oh, that's right. Okay, Coach Carl, you're talking about it all the time. Here's your opportunity to practice it. Mm-hmm. And so the 3 questions I asked myself while I was waiting for the helicopter was, what's the opportunity here? Now, when I asked myself that question, I couldn't really think of anything. The second question is, what can I do with this situation? Mm-hmm. Not a thing, I thought. And then the craziest question, but if I can do game and play with it, the question becomes, what do I actually like about this? Yeah. Now, I just got into a ski accident. What do I like about this? Now, that's obviously a crazy question to ask. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I thought to myself, just that. It's like, were you nuts? Why are you asking yourself? That's a stupid question. However, all of a sudden, I hear the sound of the helicopter in the hills. And I knew it was coming to me, and I started getting excited. And then I felt the wind of the blades above me, and I thought to myself, I've always wanted to go on a helicopter ride. Boom, that's it. That was the first thing I liked about the experience.
Now you got the chance to get in the helicopter,
Yes, and then it just built from there. I really, really, really love the fact that I was a recipient of human beings who are trained to take care of people in my type of situation. The paramedics, the doctors, the nurses, right? So I had a list of 30 different reframes while I was in that hospital. But like I was saying earlier, when I got out of the wheelchair, I had all these unexpected problems. I was ready to go back to skiing. I was ready to go back to doing my number 1 favorite thing, which is kiteboarding. And a surfboard, and you got this kite above you, and you can fly. It's just wonderful. But all of a sudden, oh my gosh, my hip, this, that, and the other thing. What am I going to do? So I decided to play a game. And the game was, I was going to move my body. Movement is medicine. My dad, the doctor, always said that. Movement is medicine. Movement is medicine, right? I said, all right.
Can't move. I'm
Yeah. Yeah, me too. So the game became, for 7 days, for a minimum of 30 minutes, I'm going to move my body. And that's what I did. For 7 days, it's a little embarrassing. I shouldn't be admitting this, but I started hula hooping. Now picture a 50-year-old guy learning how to hula hoop. It was quite the scene. But anyway, so I went 7 days. And they said, all right, Carl, you want to make the game 30? Sure, why not? And so I exercised every single day for 30 days. Now.
No matter what, right? No matter what.
Yes, I'll fill in some juicy details with that in a second. Because, yes, no matter what, the concept of commitment for me is the ability to recognize and to expect that if I say something is a done deal, it already is a done deal, like as in no matter what. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing what has enabled me to move forward with this daily exercise thing is not discipline, not willpower, but turning this thing into a game and that commitment. Once I finally did commitment, like it's going to be every day now. I think it was about like 90 days. I was 90 days into it. It's like, all right, you want to do another 90 days? Okay, yeah. And I did that. And then I just kept going. But now I've got my wireless headset on. I've got my favorite Latin Zumba funk music playing. And now I'm singing. I'm dancing. I'm hula hooping. And when I go to the gym and lifting weights, it's to the rhythm.
Yeah.
So not only do I enjoy myself, but it also improves technique because if you use rhythm,
of course,
move,
and make it fun.
And there you go. And so today, hold on one second. Alexa, how many days since August 7th, 2014?
1,632 days.
1,632 days I have done my daily celebration of movement. Being sick, having ankle surgery, death of my dog, my everything, my Sophia, she's my 15-year-old black lab. I lost this summer. But
you got a new one?
Not yet. I've been creating the space for it. My long apartment. I've got the fish tank ready. I've got everything cleaned up. The space is ready. I am yes, I'm ready.
Because I knew exactly when you told me Sophia is gone. And I knew, I felt exactly with you because I've lost my first dog as she was 13 and a half and she was very ill and she passed away. So when you told me about Sophia, I'm not the thinking person, I'm the feeling person, but this is not anything easier than when you're the thinker. I feel everything. I feel your pain and your your sadness inside me, right?
Right.
So I'm empathic, which is a lovely gift. But if it's too much, it's too much. I cannot feel everybody's emotions. To mine.
I can relate to that very much so. I was born basically what's known as an HSP, highly sensitized person. I guess about 20% of the population supposedly is extra sensitized to this environment. And I was born a month premature, and my mom had health issues, and I almost didn't make it. And I think that set up some interesting challenges that I've had in my life, including my cognitive challenges. I don't subscribe to labels, but ADD, things, dyslexia, memory issues, there are certain things that just don't quite function. It also set up the stage where I can do certain things that are pretty cool. Like my mind's really good at seeing patterns, meta patterns, big picture type of thinking, right? But coming into this world highly volatile and sensitized, it put me into a perpetuated sense of trauma. Because when blended with my cognitive issues, plus health, I have low blood sugar. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize when I was growing up as a kid going to school with a bunch of fuzz and static in my head. I couldn't think straight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was due to eating too much sugar and carbohydrates and then getting the crash afterwards, and my brain spaces out even more, and my fear goes up, and that gave me social anxiety, and then this thing called shyness.
Now you're going up the spiral.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so it was many years struggling with this kind of stuff, and it just made me withdraw, go to my cave, go away from people. Yeah. And so that's why doing these lives for me is a personal practice, that there's a part of me that could go back to hiding. Mm-hmm. So by showing up on camera on a daily basis, it's just my personal ritual to, and it's interesting. The first time I did a video, it took me 150 takes, 150. And I was so nervous. I sounded so funny talking. I was looking weird on cameras, right? Mm-hmm. I thought that I would have to get used to being nervous, because that's what you got to do when you're on stage and you're performing, right? Like years I pursued music, but I was too shy to get up on stage and whatnot, because I just thought, I got to just be nervous and work through it. I hate that feeling. Mm-hmm. Well, it turns out that these lives, 0 to 10, how nervous do I get? 0.
Right? Really? Yeah, you did so many now, Carl.
But I didn't even know that there would be an option for me, that I could be this comfortable being visible. Because again, I spent many, many years hiding. Because I didn't want you to find out that there was something wrong with me. I was broken.
But imagine, Carl, most of the people, I would say 99.9%, are hiding their whole life. Imagine that.
Yes.
That, because that's, for me, is transformation. We, especially both of us, with our health issues there in from the back, and I have the second pacemaker, so I have 18 operations gone through. So I have quite a little bit experience in this field. And I had to learn from it, because I was facing death, the fourth cancer ailment then. And I saw the other side already. So if I wasn't transforming at this point, there is no more chance to transform.
Right.
It's over. That was it. Next life maybe, but right here, right now, no. Red sign, stop. So I really had to transform, and but the majority of people don't, because it's easier to stay in the fucking comfort zone. I hate that word, because I think for either it's comfortable, then don't complain. If it's not comfortable, it is not comfortable. So the word is misleading. I hate that word. I said, in my comfort zone, it was not at all comfortable. So I said, back off with comfortable zone.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something. I often am faced with a client who really, really wants something, but there's stuff getting in the way. Mm-hmm. And like I mentioned before, it to me, the number one source of all unnecessary suffering and shortcomings and hiding and never transforming, it's the slippery mind. Yeah. And it is so convincing in the beliefs that it comes up with and gives us. Yeah, if my mind says, you can't be in front of people because, you can't talk very well. I used to stammer as a kid. I used to have a really hard time finding words. Now it's effortless because of people's lives. But I have my stories about that stuff.
Right.
My mind is going to give it to me. And even if one part of me is realized, like, you know what, I actually am more capable than what I believe. That intellectual thought is nice. But still, the next time some fear or stress or something, it can trigger that other thought on that other channel saying, you really aren't capable.
Right. And we get trapped in that.
Yes.
It's our cage.
Yes. And the trick to me is, number one, to know of the hocus pocus created by one's own mind.
Mm.
And it turns out we can start with optical illusions and different things like that, right? And I do these little demos and exercises with my clients to show them the constraints that their mind is creating, but are invisible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the mind has to create constraints to be able to delineate reality, right? But it's that very thing that gets in the way of us living fully and transforming, because we end up believing our own mind's creations. Mm-hmm. And to realize that no matter how real it is, shows up to be, no matter how much evidence that there may be, it still might not be true. And to question my mind, to observe, to become the observer, right? That's the number one thing, because I am not my mind. There is a difference between who the essence of me and the creations of my mind. There is a difference. Right. Normally, we're inside of it. We're inside the waking dream, the illusion, the hypnosis of the latest triggered thought or perception. And that's just what it is to be alive with the human mind. But from time to time, tap my mind on the shoulder and say, oh, let me wash you for a little bit. What you got for me now? And now I'm already waiting. Mm-hmm. And that next thought or image comes up, I'm much better able to be kind of objective, neutral, observe, allow, and then entice. But see, I will not have permission to change my life if I continue to believe the creations of my own mind.
Right.
It won't let me. I can force myself through will and discipline to push through doubts and fears and all that kind of stuff. That's the hard way. Because just like going on a diet, if I deny myself, there will be the inevitable kickback, the binge. It's just what it is to create a wave pushing forward. There's going to be something coming back. Well, what if I didn't have to push forward using will and discipline all the time, or almost never? What if there's a more natural, softer, easier way that nature itself uses to create movement in one's life? I want to use that. Right. So I bring in what I learned about the physics of waves and show people how they can ride the wave of their life without pushing, forcing, changing, fixing, right? Eliminating, getting rid of, destroying, battling. None of those things are needed if I can work with something, even though I hate it or it's scary or it's big and it's ugly, I can still work with it. I can be in the yes of it. It is what it is. So let me work with this thing. Then we are in a position to transform. And when we do, and then we see that our beliefs that we have, oh, I can't do it, and all the different things that get in the way, when we start to transform and then we break an illusion for that moment, now we start to get it. I do know of the slippery mind and some of its hocus pocus. And most importantly, this is everything. What I'm about to say right now is everything. Most importantly, number 2, is to see the slippery mind at play in any particular moment in my life. So first I have to know of the hocus pocus. Number 2, I have to be able to see that hocus pocus right in the moment, right? And then to be able to cultivate the skill of temporarily allowing that stuff in my mind to be there. All the crap, if I allow it paradoxically, I listen power from it. Once I'm in the yes of that crap, now I can entice the mind.
Yeah. And there's no other way than that.
That's it. As far as I can tell, you're absolutely right.
What I learned in my life, and there were many lessons, is resistance is the worst.
Yeah.
Because the universal laws, they just work like it, you know?
But that's the paradigm we are given. Wage war.
The more
I'm sorry, it doesn't work.
Persist, right? And that's why we're totally ticking like the same. And what I learned is the same lesson than you, Carl.
Isn't that cool?
Come to the.
And where are you right now? Where are you right now?
In Frankfurt, Germany.
Frankfurt, Germany. Okay. So how many thousands of miles are we away from each other? And yet, unknown to me, there's this other human being who's having similar, challenges and insights. And wow, it's just really cool. Love it. And there's lots more of us out there too.
Yes. And we try to spread this into the world, right? To make people think that they should observe their mind and that they are not their mind,
That's right. And then when we clear the way of that stuff in the moment, and I get good at doing that, then we get to reveal my favorite stuff. My company is called Untapped Genius.
Right.
And I named it that for a very specific reason. It does not refer to the Einsteins of the world. It does not refer to people with a rare talent. They've just got the right genes and they're born lucky and gifted. No.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm about to say is not a fluffy, philosophical, feel-good notion. This is hardcore fact as far as I'm concerned. We have built-in abilities found in our bodies, in our minds, and indeed in life itself, that when we know of them and you can recognize them, we can use these abilities to better do our thing. Whatever our adventure is to do on this world, whatever we're here to do, I'll give you one example.
Let me just interrupt for a moment because I have to laugh. Untapped is the same word like freestyled. Exactly the same meaning. You know?
Interesting.
Yeah, free it. Let it come out. Free it. You know, it's already in us. It's just in a cage, and it can't come out. You know,
it's already in there somewhere.
Ourselves from all the stuff and shit we took on.
Yeah. Yes, and what a beautiful notion. What a beautiful notion to recognize that it's already in us. Now, I've read that before. I've thought about that before. But I'm talking for real here. This is real stuff. I'm going to give you one example. I wish we were on video recorded because I could show you this little demo. All right, so here's the deal. I say the ability to be in flow, in sync, in rhythm, in concert with life, with what you want, with other people, with the challenges in your life, everything. We can find a way to be in rhythm, in sync. And when we do, we always get the best results, period, right? It's a question of allowing ourselves in, but there's a paradox. I love that word. Paradoxically, if I try to get into flow and in rhythm, it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. It's something where, again, it's enticing. You can create the environment for the flow to show up. Yeah. Now, what I'm about to talk about is the most fascinating phenomenon in nature as far as I'm concerned. It is called entrainment. The word train and E-N in front of it. And you can think of it like a train track that waves, all right? And on one rail is one wave or rhythm, and on the other is another rhythm or pattern. Mm-hmm. So to entrain means to connect one rhythm or pattern with another. And you can think of it like if you're dancing with your partner, somehow you guys are able to coordinate and be in sync with your bodies and the music, right? Without thinking, without trying, maybe a little technique, you had lessons, whatever. No, the ability to be in flow and in sync and in concert with each, it's built into life itself. It turns out to get into flow, you don't even need a mind or a body. There's this video on YouTube. Check it out. Metronomes. Look it up. Entrainment metronomes. You've got a bunch of things clicking at different patterns, right? But it's on a floating plate.
I heard of it before.
Right? And it's this floating plate. So it's a conduit so that these things are connected and they could communicate. Right. So you hear them all different things, and all of a sudden you hear two of them, and you can see two of them sync up, right? Yeah. And then a third one, and before you know it, all of them are going click, 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 click. That is entrainment. That is flow. And when life gets in flow, life moves, and it grows and expands. And I think that when all is said and done, for me, what is life? What does life want? What is the most fundamental thrust of it all when it comes right down to it, based on what I observe from nature? Life wants one thing, more life. It wants to move. It wants to grow, expand. And it's looking for conduits, channels, pathways, connections to do that through. And so I love that notion because, the sense of being full of life, we all want to be full of life. We are generally attracted to people and creatures who exhibit full of life. And so when I'm in movement in my life, I get my way. I'm happiest. I'm fulfilled. Life is at its best and sweetest. And I like to think that, quote unquote, life gets its way too. So I want to set up my life where I can have movement going through it. And it turns out the only thing getting in the way of that natural movement is that resistance, that stuff that we were talking about.
Right.
In those moments when those are out of the way, do I have to push myself to get moving, convince myself, use discipline? Well, no, because movement is the most natural thing in the world. And I'm reminded when I look at a puppy dog or a little baby, you have to say, okay, now you go play now. No, they are in play. They are play. They are life itself. That's it. I loved it. That's the foundation for my life is a wave thing. Life is movement. Set things up so that natural forces like entrainment,
right,
when we set up the right environment, the flow, the movement happens through me, not because of me.
Right.
And that is just
Carl, most of us, and that's why we are making such a big impact with our thoughts here, sharing them. Most of us, they have negative perceptions, right? Which is the worst thing of something might happen. And, and the other thing is the greatest part of why we are not in good shape or why we are not in good health or whatever condition is that we sabotage ourselves all the fucking time.
Absolutely.
Excuse me for the expression, but that's what I see. It's not the outer circumstances or you. No, it's myself sabotaging me. And
I say something just a little
lying to me all the time in behaving like other people lead me.
And I just make one little fine distinction with this, though. It is not me. It is my mind. And what I'm doing with that is so important for me personally, because the structure that we were given in this world is basically what I call the land of judgment, where things like good, bad, right, and wrong exist. And there's a place for that structure, for sure. However, when it comes to creating an enticing change in my life, I have found that to be counterproductive. I have never beat myself into movement, right? To judge myself like, oh, what's wrong with me? Why can't I seem to go on a diet or quit smoking or get myself to the club or do this or the other thing? People will try. They'll try with all their heart and soul, the willpower, the discipline, right? And they might show up at the club statistically. I think only 10% of a gym membership, their folks actually show up on a regular basis, right? And I'd say within, as little as 2 weeks of a new year, people are falling flat with their resolutions. And now they are getting into the inevitable trap because of the framework we've been given of judgment. And it's like, I make it about a character, about me. There's something wrong with me. And it's like, no. There's nothing, first of all, there's nothing wrong going on here. It's just the nature of my mind. It's how it operates. It's like, again, to go back to the radio metaphor. If I have a donut in my hand, in the palm of my hand, and I'm looking at that thing, and I'm saying, okay, I'm going on a diet. I say no to you, donut. No more. And you put it aside. Well, in the world of radios, if I'm tuned into a radio station and I don't like the music, does it matter in any way, shape, or form if I say no to it or yes to it? No. The only thing that matters is I'm tuned into that station, that vibrational pattern, and I'm going to get that information, whatever is on that thing. So now, as I say no,
you don't like it, change the station, right?
Yes. Now, this is where it comes in with when it comes to dieting. If it's true that life wants one thing, more life, well, if I take something away, there's the risk of perceived deprivation. And I use the word perceived because it all comes down to perception of the mind, and that's good news and bad news. You can fool it in a way, but basically, if I take something away, the perception is, you're taking something away.
I want to have it. It's the little child in us.
And to me, it's that slippery mind getting in the way because it is now threatened. Its only concern It's not my happiness, achieving my goals, peace of mind, none of that stuff. My slippery mind does not care about that. It is a primitive, powerful part of the mind whose only job is to protect me. Mm-hmm. And so anything that comes in my life, my slippery mind is going to analyze it and it's going to label it. It's going to judge it. Oh, that's good. Okay, I'm safe. Oh, that's bad. Oh, he's a bad person because of the way he dressed or the color of his skin or this or that, right? And that perception, which is an illusion, coming up with a conclusion based on just like physical appearances or whatever, right? But yet that person will believe the mind and will act accordingly. And so you can see where racism and prejudice and all sorts of other things come from, the illusions created by the mind. And when I can poke holes in that and start questioning that stuff, I begin to unravel all the tethers and shackles and chains that the mind has created for me to present my life.
Yeah, but we are running our life on perceptions. You know,
that's it.
How crazy is that?
I know. And to be in a world filled with people who, for the most part, are being fooled by their minds and don't even know it, myself included. Now that then for me, the central game at play and what I'm here to do on planet Earth for as long as I am here, the mission is simple. It is to free up 1 billion minds so that they can naturally find that flow, live their adventure to the fullest, do what they're here to do to the fullest.
Yeah. Let's do that together.
Let's do that
together.
We've got the passion. That's pretty clear. We've got the technology.
Yeah.
We have everything we need. And you know what? I said 1 billion, and it's sort of tongue-in-cheek, but it's not really. I'm actually serious about that billion. However, when I'm coaching one-on-one, just one human being, that's all that matters. Making a difference in one person's life. Just even a little bit. You know? And so, you know, my profession, it's called life coaching. I'm not crazy about that term, actually, because it has certain connotations. Some positive, some maybe not. I love considering myself to be a catalyst.
Yeah.
A little spark, a little something to just get them moving. And when we free up the mind of those doubts and we start poking holes in those fears and the limits that the mind creates, it'll say, oh, that's not possible. If it doesn't come up with a way like, oh, I want to start traveling the world, and then the mind won't be able to come up with a way. So, you know, that's not possible. I don't have the money for it. And, you know, how am I going to take care of my dog? And all these different things get in the way. But in the end, where there's a will, there's always a way. That's my Italian grandmother's voice in my head that I've heard hundreds and hundreds of times. Where there's a will, there is always a way.
Exactly.
But not need it, though, too.
Yeah.
That's the other thing to this, too.
And what I think is, like in these times, we have so many technical possibilities here too.
Yes.
You are in Buffalo, I'm here in Frankfurt, and it's miles away, right? But we still can chat here and share our thoughts and hopefully wake up some people, right? And make a greater impact on the necessity to clear up our minds, right?
It is, yes, if I had it my way, Carl's
become fully present and observing, right? Yeah. And authentic. Because authentic people, they just behave different, you know? They're not punching, they're not, I'm completely non-rationalist, right? But I don't eat too much meat. Just I don't want it, and it's not good for my health. And I feel the animal inside, you know. I feel the pressure and everything when I'm taking there. But I don't think we should say radically no to that and all be vegetarians here. But you have a completely different sense of being, you know, once you're away from all the judgment. I don't want nobody to judge me, and I do not judge you, right? So it's a great inner feeling, inner freedom and peace when I'm done with all this judgment. For what? It doesn't lead to nothing except problems, right?
And stagnation.
And stagnation, and it's just not helpful for anything. So why do it? You know? And if I don't keep on playing all these roles, right? Like my husband wants and my mother wants and whatever. Yeah, we pretend on playing all these roles. How we have to. Back off, have to. I don't have to do anything.
Mm. Yeah, the question.
And that's completely freeing up. And that's what I call freestyling.
Nice.
I can and I won't, like chatting with you here, but I don't have to. If I don't want, I don't have to.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
Neither you.
Right.
So let's make it fun. Let's make an impact and hopefully create some good energy and vibes for the listeners out there.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll tell you what. Having lived a life plagued with self-doubt, I'm broken. I need fixing. I read over 300 books. I did nutrition, diet plans, cognitive, this, that, the other. Nothing helped unstuck my life until I started saying yes to me in my totality, flaws and all. On my wall, I've got this thing, be your Carl-ness.
Mm-hmm.
Flaws and all.
Exactly.
And as soon as I started to stop fixing myself, because I just gave up, it was pointless after a while, right? That's when things really started to free up and move. And I realized, like, not only am I okay, flaws and all, but some of those flaws make me an interesting character.
Right, because...
but it also gives me different perspectives. Like my cognitive shortcomings actually give me different perspectives, and it turns out to be pretty cool. So saying yes to who we are.
You put yourself in a position to observe it and to hear it before you don't even aware of it, right?
Right.
You just keep going in the ego mindset there, and you're out of control. I call it out of control. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's something else which is not you, is controlling you and leading you.
Yeah. But here's my favorite message to people. And here's my affirmation for myself as well. It goes something like this. I am creating a world of love, passion, and connection by showing people just how friggin' amazing they actually are. Mm-hmm. And that when we can begin to free up some of that stuff that we've been talking about, and we can find that rhythm and flow, or it finds us, actually. Right. And we are then in the best possible place to do our adventure to the fullest and to enjoy the ride. Bumps and all. Because again, if I expect the unexpected, and then I have a sense of like, whatever crises and challenges come up, I can not only handle it, but I can actually get really good at transforming into fuel for new growth, new clarity, new ideas, new purpose. Mm-hmm. And then I'm in the yes of my life, challenges and all that changes things. My days are different now. I used to be muddled with fears and concerns of the day, or like I was saying, the cloudy weather this time of the year in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. What I do every day almost is I go to Lake Erie and I look at the dreariness. But then I change my state. I get into a nice, light, clear, present place. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, the magic found in the everyday, the beauty intrinsic to life in every single moment, like right here, right now, all of a sudden becomes visible to me. The ugliness goes away. You know what emerges? I see the beauty, the contrast of the tree branches against the gray sky. And I could see the little sparkles coming off the water. That's when I all of a sudden notice. And it's like I look around at the whole spectrum of what I'm looking at, and it's actually beautiful. I can do that with anything in my life because we don't have control sometimes over stuff like my body, the physical things I go through, my autoimmune condition, a bunch of other stuff. I don't have direct say. I feel pain 24 hours a day. But my relationship with it, I'm no longer pushing against it.
Right.
I have tinnitus. I hear 5 different notes in my head. And as a musician, well, that's not a very good thing. But I've learned how to be in the yes of that. So to the point where it's invisible. And
yeah, because it's the only thing we can do. And the only thing is to become aware of what is, of the challenges, and use them as fuel for the growth. Or to become as the beauty on the lake of the lake you just imagine to us, right? But we are passing that quick through life that we don't have no idea and no awareness and no presence. We are just hustling and rushing and stressed out. You know, nobody does have time. And you know why? Everybody is stressed out. That's not healthy. And we all do have the same amount of time each day, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I realize more and more often is that people are so in the rush of their day on all duties would come in, because they are just reacting.
And that's normal, right? That's natural.
Ways, you know, you never can. I can never cope with my emails come in. I will never, as self-employed entrepreneur, I will never be done in the evening.
That's right.
It's just not possible. So I don't put myself in that struggle, you know, because it's foolish. It's just not possible.
Yeah, I mean, we are
a job to cut off here and go home at 5. I never do, but I go golfing in between when I say, okay, my body needs a rest now. Gone. 3 hours of golfing.
Nice.
Will I work it later on? Yeah, surely I will. Probably I will.
Right.
But
right. You know what I do? You know what I do with work sometimes now? First of all, I am redefining like every framework I've been presented by society, including this notion of work. Where did this notion of working, quote unquote, hard come from? It's like, wait a minute, I don't need to be working hard. And so I'm redesigning my loft apartment here. I'm redesigning how I look at things. Instead of calling it my office, I am now calling it my creation station. I like that. That feels good.
Yeah.
Now, if the folks are on camera, they could see I've got this ability now to get away from my desk, and I've got this really comfortable chair and this footrest, and I got this rotating wireless keyboard and mouse. So now I'm like 4 feet away from the screen. I've got these beautiful LED lights glowing at night when I'm working. I'm getting a white shag, 3-inch shag rug. And whenever I go into my creation station, it will always be barefoot. Comfortable, pampering, luxurious, powerful, high tech. That is my creation station.
I love that.
And so instead of using discipline to work, 9 to 5 clock kind of dictation, now, you know, today's reality, that's changing. We don't necessarily have to go along those lines. Do I have weekdays and weekends? That kind of bleeds all into one thing. I love having a choice. I can go into my car and I go to Lake Erie, and that's my office, my creation station for the day. So how we do daily living, when we start to get playful and we start to approach our lives like we are the artist, I am the creator of my life and what I want to experience here, I get to create that, you know, and that gives me a whole different way of relating with life and, you know, what I want to do. I can then question things. Do I want to work on Mondays? No, I don't. So I don't.
Don't like Mondays.
Good.
Yeah, but if not we as being self-employed, who then? Right?
Yeah. So, but I understand that folks, life is the most challenging game there is. And I figure life is already challenging enough.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do to not add to that and actually maybe even create a lifestyle where I can start enjoying the ride a little bit more? And all it takes is a willingness to just, with a lightness of heart, a playful spirit, and a sense of curiosity, poke little tiny holes in what I thought was certain, the familiar, the known, the things to just be assumed. Of course you work 9 to 5. Well, really? You know what I mean? We're the artists of our lives, man. Let's have some fun here. And yes, those challenges are huge, and they can be so scary sometimes. Like I've got a health scare that got triggered in me, and it's creating my mind this ruminating thoughts about it and stuff, right? And it can ruin the peace of mind in your day and take your focus away. I get it. But and in the midst of that, how can I be in the yes of even those things? Because that'll put me in a better place to deal with the challenges of our lives and maybe even enjoy the bumps along the way.
Of course.
Yeah.
And not to be the bad instructor to yourself, pushing in the back.
Yeah, I tried that. That didn't work out very well. I ended up burnt out.
We're killing ourselves doing that. That's what I call the self-sabotaging field,
Yeah. Now, to judge.
To the voices in our head, right? We're killing ourselves with that.
Yes.
So I think really some more conscious people and I especially I had this after my awakening, after my facing death, and we have also the responsibility to make an impact and to try to wake people up, right?
Yes. And this year, 2019, very exciting because I've got, the question for me is, how do I support my clients in between coaching sessions? It's an ongoing question I've lived with, because it's one thing to have a coaching session, new insights, new possibilities, but then we tend to default to our old familiar patterns throughout the rest of the week. So I've got this mobile app that will be voice activated. Called Coach on Demand. And I work with teens and young adults as one group. I work with folks from all walks of life, Emmy-winning filmmakers to the homeless, all ages. I love it. All the different walks of life. I love it. That's part of the fun for me. But I also love working with kids, teens and young adults, man. They're our future, and they got the energy and the passion, and with some insights, you can really just help free them up to do their thing, right? So there's this one kid who gets social anxiety very easily, and he goes blank. And now I can relate to that, as I shared with you earlier. And so we forget what we know in a panic state, right? And so here the idea is he'll have a phone, and he'll just say, "Hey, Coach on Demand, I'm panicking," or something like that.
All right.
And it will trigger off a pre-recorded video or audio where I walk them through. It's like, oh, so you must be having anxiety right now. Okay, so what's the first thing that we do? Oh, wait, let's take a nice deep breath together, okay? So that's one thing, using technology.
That's great, Carl.
Mobile apps to support people.
I love it.
Now, I wish they could see this, but you can see this. I just upgraded my computer, got the latest, greatest, because, see this? This is a wireless virtual reality system. And I'm so excited because virtual reality and augmented reality, where, you've got your glasses on and it superimposes images or whatever. Right. In terms of coaching, personal growth, creating change, these technologies are going to be able to simulate different environments like with a young adult who's got social anxiety. In virtual reality, we can simulate different situations that are safe for him, but still convincing to the mind. So we can put people into different scenarios and support them that way through virtual reality. So I'm very, very excited.
How does it work? The other person does need the system? How does it work?
Yes. So there's going to be two different directions. This is all going in virtual reality, where you have the goggles that I just showed you. And they're coming up with $200 ones that you don't even need a computer with. Right? And then I'm going to be creating, I do web development, a bunch of computer stuff too. So I'm going to be developing some virtual reality simulated situations that people can go through and train themselves to free up their mind, get into flow, because there are certain games and exercises that you can do to teach your mind and body. Oh, this is what it feels like to be in flow and encourage. So then really cool thing is AR, augmented reality. So you got your glasses on. Let's say you're on a diet and you walk up to the refrigerator, you open it up and you see that apple pie. No apple pie, can't it? Right, that's the typical thing, and we're going to use will and discipline to just not, and then the more we try to not think about it, the more we start to salivate thinking about that. Caramel, apple pie with vanilla ice cream and drizzled caramel. Yeah, that's my favorite. Yeah, that's it. Right? So now instead, you've got your AR glasses on, you open the fridge, it sees the apple pie even before you do. And these are just ideas that I'm coming up with. It could cover so you don't even see it. And instead, we'll place images of inspiration, or it could be an audio recording. So you're on a diet. Let's remind yourself why and how good it's going to feel when you are at that weight, looking good, feeling good, blah, 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 whatever, right? So you can have things situationally triggered based off wherever you find yourself. So that gives you two little ideas of how virtual and augmented reality can support folks in creating change in their lives.
That's
so
great.
all this stuff is just now online, on board. This virtual reality goggles I've only had for a month. And so, yeah, 2019, very, very, very exciting. We got courses. We got an app coming out. We've got trainings, a dozen of them coming out. So, wow.
That's great. So make sure, Carl, you give me the info about that so I can put it in the show notes below.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
Right?
Sure.
So we've been talking for over an hour now.
Have we?
Yeah, it's quarter past 10. I have to go to bed.
No. That's impossible.
Yeah.
Wow. How time flies when you're having fun.
You even didn't realize the beginning. You didn't even. I could go. You would talk forever. I love this with you, Carl. Definitely.
Thank you so much for having me.
I give you a really, really big hug over the ocean, right? All the miles and miles and miles. It's so much fun with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Truly an honor.
Honored you've been there, and this is definitely. I wrote it even down here for me to remember. Creation station. I will put this tomorrow. I'm gonna cross the old thing. I'm gonna put creation. I love it. I love it.
There you go.
And also, it's a great idea. I'm
awesome.
I'm totally excited by that. So we put this for the listeners in the show notes, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So I go to bed, and you have a fucking great day, Carl.
Oh, you too. So much fun. I have no words. I have no words.
Thanks for being here.
This is the feeling.
Right.
This up and out and into the world. I've hidden and played safe in the past. 2018 was a year like I've never had before, where I'm really becoming comfortable being visible, growing and expanding on this in whatever ways that we can facilitate that for each other and for one and all. I'm on board. Let's stay connected. Even if on a regular basis, once a month, whatever, to connect and build and see what's possible.
I'm following you. I get all the messages. Carl is online on Facebook. So let me do the outro for our listeners here. This was Carl and Carla, and the interview was just incredible. I think our listeners will come to the same. I'm missing the word now. I'm not native. I'm still German.
I hope that they do come up with the same conclusion.
Help me out. Intention. I think our intention is clear, and we're very close, and I hope we could set some other intentions in our listeners. So, to just wake them up a little bit.
Wake up!
Wake up! All right, Carl.
All right.
Give you a big hug.
Okay, Carla. Take care. We'll be in touch.
Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Carl Contino reminded us on saying yes to ourselves and yes to all that is. It was a great talk exploring why it is so essential to stop sabotaging ourselves, as we are the artists of our lives. He's so right. We are the creator of our life, so let's make the best out of it. Thank you for listening today. I hope you got new inspiration to level up your life. Feel free to share the Fly podcast with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to be sure to catch your next transformational success stories. You will find all links and recaps in the description. Please rate and review either on freestylyourlifepodcast.com or on your favorite podcast directory. All questions asked in the comment feed or on social media will be answered in special episodes. Looking forward to inspire you next week. Have a great day and go for your dreams. Remember, Fly Nation, break free and fly. Talk to you next week. Bye.